When it came to Moesha's love life, no romance caused more chaos than her relationship with Q. In a previous video, we discussed Moesha's other love interest. Q was one love interest that stayed a bit longer than the rest. Q and Moesha's relationship was entertaining to watch. We saw them fall in love, saw them deal with Frank's disapproval and all the drama that came along with that, saw them break up and make up. Their relationship was one of the main reasons people tuned in. Their chemistry was amazing to watch. In this video, we'll talk about Moesha and Q's love story from beginning to abrupt end. So let's get into it. We are introduced to Q in the episode The List. Q was accused of creating a list rating girls' looks and other attributes. After trying to convince Moesha that he didn't create the list, he invited her to check out his set at the Bombay, a local teen hangout spot, and she fell for him after seeing him perform a song that he dedicated to her. Moesha was drawn to Q's bad boy vibe, but it was more than just his rough around the edges persona that caught her eye. Moesha loved how passionate he was about music and how determined he was to make his dream happen. He was the ultimate go-getter, which was rare to see at their age of 16. Q was attracted to Moesha for similar reasons. Moesha had substance to her that set her apart from the other girls. Q could see that she was about more than just looks, fashion, and popularity. Their mutual appreciation for each other's passions and individuality laid the foundation for their undeniable chemistry from the beginning. After Q's performance, he walked her home and Frank met him. Frank judged him immediately, thinking he was a thug looking to corrupt his daughter. Moesha told Frank that she and Q weren't dating, so he had nothing to worry about. But how quickly that changed. By the second episode of season 2, titled The Credit Card, Moesha and Q were dating. This surprised me because I thought there were more episodes in between their first meeting and when they started dating. They just jumped right on in. I didn't remember it that way. But Moesha got in trouble often due to seeing Q or doing things because of Q. For example, bailing him out of jail with a credit card that was meant for only emergencies. This episode low-key foreshadowed some of the major issues Moesha and Q would face as a couple down the line. Lack of trust, struggles with control, and poor communication. When they got pulled over and Q suggested to let him handle the cops since he had experience with dealing with them, Moesha decided to butt in and insulted the cop. So instead of them getting a ticket for a taillight and going on about their day, Q got locked up. But as much as Moesha cared for Q, that didn't stop her from flirting with other guys. When Q had one of his boys, Damon, help her remove the charge from the credit card, she almost kissed him. Q called Damon in the house with her, and he went into a jealous rage. Q was possessive of Moesha, which was interesting since in later episodes, he struggled to commit to her. This was another issue in their relationship as well. Even when they weren't together, Q always expected Moesha to drop anyone she was dating when he said the word. But even though Q wanted to be with Moesha, his fear of actually being in a relationship and possibly getting his heart broken played a big part in his hesitation to make it official. In episode 8 of season 2, Q admitted that he never had a girlfriend before and had never been in love. They had a serious convo about what their status was and what they wanted to be in the future. Moesha and Q finally became official in the episode, a concerted effort, but not without a little drama. Moesha called into the radio station to get some love advice and won tickets to a concert. While Moesha called in using a fake name, all her friends and even Q knew it was her on the radio telling everybody about her and Q's love drama.
You all on the airwaves talking, trying to put labels on what we have. And if what you feel is as strong as what I feel, nobody's got a word for that.
You got feelings in there.
Q was low-key playing in her face. But during this time, Q was managing a group and wanted to use Moesha's access to the concert to get them in so they could land a deal. During this concert, Q runs into an old friend. Moesha catches them together, gets mad, and pretty much avoids him for most of the concert. But by the time the concert is over, they make up, decide to make it official, and Moesha introduces Q to Frank as her boyfriend. And of course, Frank wasn't pleased. In the episode, Guest Q's Coming to Dinner, we start to see the tug of war between Moesha, Q, and her family, specifically Frank. Moesha's grades started falling, she started to skip classes and come home late, all in an effort to spend as much time as she could with Q. They were obsessed with each other. After she's grounded, Moesha confesses that she's in love with Q to D, and she convinces her to let Q come over for dinner so the family can get to know him better. This dinner was a struggle from the start.
Frank, did you know that Quentin's from New York?
Yeah, I almost got mugged.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Almost got jacked my first day in LA.
During this dinner, Quentin revealed he didn't want to go to college and instead wanted to pursue a music career. Quentin's father was an entrepreneur who owned many businesses and many homes, so Quentin didn't think his dream was out of reach since he grew up seeing his dad be a businessman. Frank couldn't see that there were multiple routes to having a successful life and that Q was creating his own lane. All he saw was, again, a thug from New York who could corrupt his daughter and the dreams he had for her. This dinner goes further south when Frank beats around the bush and asked if they were having sex.
But what are your views on premarital sex?
Why don't you just ask me the real question? Am I having sex with Mo?
No, Daddy, we're not having sex.
Though the answer was no, Q was over being interrogated and chose to leave. Frank's determination to keep them apart only led Moesha to be more sneaky to see Q. Moesha and Q had other issues besides Frank, though. Moesha was used to being the leader of her friend group. Pretty much everything revolved around her. This makes sense because the show centered around Moesha, but Moesha wanted to control everything, and she also loved to insert herself in everyone's business. In the episode Songs in the Key of Strife, Moesha convinced Q to let her sing in his group, but the problem was Moesha couldn't sing, like, at all. Q had a hard time admitting to Moesha that she couldn't sing and shouldn't be a part of the group. He even changed up their practice time to avoid hurting her feelings. Doing this didn't help because Moesha showed up to their secret practice intending to change the arrangement of the song to fit her non-existent voice, and Q finally had to put his foot down.
The song stays the same, all right?
Now I see why you shaved your head, to make more room for your ego.
It's not about my ego, Moesha.
Then what is it about, Quentin?
It's about you coming in here trying to disrespect me as a producer.
Moesha was embarrassed after that. I mean, how dare he be assertive about his passion? Frank was still determined to keep them apart, so of course they had to get creative. In the episode Cold Busted, Moesha invited Q over since her family will be going to a Saturn function for her dad's job. Things got steamy fast when they got caught kissing in her room, and if Frank wasn't already determined to keep them apart, he had every reason to now. Even this didn't stop them from sneaking around. They were still able to see each other at the den and later at Q's father's barbershop. Frank put Moesha on punishment but agreed to take her off if she went to his frat brother's son's prom. Moesha agreed to this, thinking this would allow her to see Q again. She doesn't tell Q about this deal though. After accepting the deal from her dad and getting off punishment early, Q invited her to a concert, but being that she didn't want to tell Q about the prom deal, she gave him an excuse for why she couldn't go to the concert, which was on the same night as the prom. But Q finds out about the prom when he comes to Moesha's house to check on her, and Miles tells him where she is. Q immediately goes there and confronts Moesha, demanding that she leave with him.
Let's go. Why you trying to play me, shorty?
They argue for a bit, and Moesha tries to convince Q that her intentions were good, and she only agreed to go to the prom so that she could see him and get off punishment. Eventually, she realizes that the constant tug of war between her father and Q was becoming too much.
You pull one string, he pulls another one. You know what? I'm tired of this game.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying I don't want to do this anymore.
And their relationship was over. For now. After Frank and Dee caught Moesha and Q in her room, Frank decided to transfer Moesha to Bridgewood, an expensive private school far, far away from Q and her friends. While she attended Bridgewood, she met another love interest, Jeremy. Jeremy and Moesha dated for a while, and everything goes well until they run into Q while on a date. Jeremy sensed the obvious tension between Q and Moesha and requested that Moesha figure things out with Q before they went any further. Moesha and Q agreed to go on a date, and child, it was a mess. First off, they had to deal with this rude waitress, and when Moesha insists on reporting her to the manager, Q tells her to let it go and they should just enjoy their date. Moesha still loved to make a big deal out of any and everything. Secondly, Q demands that she break up with Jeremy even though homeboy was just on a date with another girl. He was still trying to control Moesha, wanting her to drop everything and everyone to be with him. Q briefly brings up the true reason why they broke up, but doesn't want to elaborate. He still struggled with saying what was on his mind and just communicating in general. This date brought up every one of their previous issues. It didn't take long before they both realized that they were better off apart, and Moesha continued dating Jeremy. After Q and Moesha's disastrous date, Moesha continued to date other guys. She dated Jeremy until Frank walked in on them coming down the stairs at a slumber party and quickly pulled her out of Bridgewood. After Jeremy, she dated Aaron, Channing, her former high school teacher, and even Hakeem. You can watch this video here to learn more about Moesha's other love interests. But when Moesha and Hakeem's relationship turned romantic during season 5, in came Q. Q returned from tour, hoping to get things started back up with Moesha, but came back to find she was now dating Hakeem. Q respected this at first, but he offered Moesha the opportunity to be his road manager's assistant over the summer. Moesha wasn't sure about it initially, but after catching Hakeem and Niecy kissing, she took him up on his offer and joined him over the summer. By season 6, Moesha and Q were seriously dating again. Q wanted to take things to the next level, and Moesha hesitated, thinking Q only wanted sex, and that was why he asked her to tour with him over the summer. But Q insisted that he was all in.
But when you question how I feel about you, it just makes me crazy. You got me open, can't you see that?
After this argument, Q decided to prove his love to Moesha by proposing, and she said yes. And child, when Hakeem found out, he was pissed.
Well, if she hid it from you, it's because she figured you couldn't handle it.
Handle what? Or the fact that she got mad at me and you swooped her up on a rebound?
Call it what you want.
Call it what it is, homeboy.
Everything continued to go well for Moesha and Q until Q wanted to sell Moesha's engagement ring to cover the expenses of managing his group. Moesha didn't want to sell the ring because it was sentimental to her. Meanwhile, Q saw the ring as just an item.
Yeah, but when my group blows up, I get you one twice as big.
Baby, I don't think so. This ring is a symbol of our love and commitment.
And giving it up won't change how we feel about each other.
Now, Moesha did not want to give up this ring, so she spoke with Khalib, one of the artists that was part of Q's tour, about Q's financial bind, and Khalib offered to give him a loan to cover his costs.
Q is too proud to take a loan.
Look, if it's a problem, I'll just give him the money as an investment. I'll just take a percentage of the group. We'll be partners.
Moesha didn't catch on to the fact that he was trying to get over on Q. She was just happy to be keeping that damn ring. But Moesha was happy to have found a solution to Q's financial problems and was excited to tell him. She wasn't prepared for his response, though.
What the hell were you thinking?
Q was upset that she invited another man into their business and insisted that if she cared that much about their issue, that she would have gave him the ring back when he asked, with no resistance. Q even called her materialistic for keeping the ring and gave her an ultimatum.
Moesha, what do you want more, me or the ring?
Q insisted that one day they would sit back and laugh at this moment, but Moesha didn't think so, and this was the end of their relationship. Moesha was canceled soon after, and we didn't get to see an official end to her and Hakeem or her and Q's love stories. It was for the best, honestly. In the previous video, I stated that while I liked Moesha and Q together, I felt that Hakeem was a better partner for her. Q had great qualities. He was a go-getter, business-minded, and determined. He was serious about Moesha and always let her know from the jump that he wanted her. He even put himself in uncomfortable situations for her, like having dinner with her family, knowing that Frank hated him. Q and Moesha worked well together though. Q always knew who to call when it came to business. He utilized Mo to handle the door when he had a set at the Bombay or had her manage his group, even when they weren't together. They balanced each other in those situations. Q also had some bad qualities as well. He was controlling, always wanted Moesha to bend to what he wanted, always expected her to drop everything and anyone when he came around. Moesha would skip school, skip class, come home late, or whatever else just to be with him. Now, Moesha should have known not to do any of this, and I'll hold her just as accountable, but at the same time, you know how her dad feels about you. Encouraging her to do all this is just making the situation worse. Though Q continued to pursue his passions and stayed about his business throughout the series, his communication issues, being controlling and possessive, that didn't improve. By the same token, Moesha's own control and meddling issues didn't improve either, as seen when she involved Khalib in their business, all in an effort to keep her engagement ring. Moesha and Q were both stubborn AF. This led to them not being able to bend for each other and made minor problems turn into bigger issues. Honestly, if Q was having money issues, then he shouldn't have proposed. It would have been better to have a serious conversation about their intentions and if they wanted to be with one another again without making such a serious commitment to each other. Q loved Moesha, but I think the ring was a means to lock her down and make her off limits to Hakeem and Khalil. These recurring issues remained in their relationship from start to abrupt finish. We were able to see Hakeem grow, become responsible, settle on a career path, and be more focused and intentional. And this could very well be because Q went missing after season 3 and they only brought him back here and there. Q would probably always have a space in Moesha's heart and ours, but Hakeem was the better choice long term. Hell, even Aaron was a good choice, if Moesha could get past the fact that he had other sexual partners before her. Anyway, that's it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. There will be more Moesha videos to come, so stay tuned. See you next time, you guys. Bye.